What's going on, guys? It is Will here, back again, once again, for the third episode of the Gridiron Talk podcast. Like I said, episode 3, back again with Shane, the Rocket Rider. Jesus Christ, I can never get that right. But, we're chilling. We had a great week of football, crazy games, a lot of upsets that we did not expect. But this week, we got a couple more NFL news. And then we're just gonna get right into it. So Shane, let me just ask you real quick, how you been, man? Doing all right?
I've been okay. A lot of working, a lot of stuff with pro arena that's going on. So very excited about that. So, how about you, Will? How you doing?
Living a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into the news real quick. We don't have a bunch of news, but we just got some key news. Odell Beckham Jr. said he will sign with an NFL team following this Sunday's game. I'm not really too sure why, but maybe he's just taking his time to think about it, see how the team plays before he makes his decision. So expect next week us talking about OBJ signing with a team. Big news, Cam Newton gets signed by the Carolina Panthers for the rest of the year after Sam Darnold will miss 4 to 6 weeks with a shoulder injury. It is unknown if he will play against the Cardinals, but he will guaranteed to play next week against Washington. But this week, he's questionable. He has to pass his physicals plus COVID crap. So he may not play this week, but he's for sure going to play next week. The NFL fines Green Bay Packers organizations $300,000 for COVID protocol violations. And then on the Packers, Aaron Rodgers and Alan Lazard get fined $14,000 each for breaking COVID protocol. And lastly, the Raiders signed Desean Jackson after what happened with Henry Ruggs. So, Shane, do you have anything to add about any of the news I just talked about? Anything you just want to give your thoughts on?
No, I just found out about the Cam Newton signing while I was at work, and I think it's great. Raiders are signing Desean Jackson. I think he's still got a lot left in the tank, and I think Aaron Rodgers and the Packers got off with a slap on the wrist, in my opinion. But who knows?
So, yeah, let's get right into it. We got the game on tonight, the Thursday night game. A little bit of a slower game, but it's still going to be fun watching one man on the field, Lamar Action Jackson. So we got the Baltimore Ravens, who are 6-2, visiting the Miami Dolphins, who are 2-7, and the Dolphins are 7.5-point underdogs here. So the question is will the Ravens continue their dominance with a win over the struggling Dolphins? And Lamar Jackson is playing like a man possessed. He's playing like he's unconscious. He is carrying the Baltimore Ravens right now. And on the other side of the field for the Dolphins is Tua Tagovailoa is most likely, he's a game-time decision, but he will most likely be out with, I think he has a finger injury. So Jacoby Brissett will take the starting helm. So Tua's worries about being injury-prone or translate to the NFL, Shane. I know you're a big college football fan, and, Tua played for Alabama, when you like Georgia, so you saw Tua play all the time. And Tua's been injury-prone since college, hasn't he?
Yeah, Tua, he
broke his hip.
He broke his hip. I think he broke both of them. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, senior year he broke his hip. Then he did something to his ankle, I believe his rookie year, and then his finger now. So
he's been injury prone, which sucks because I think obviously they won last week. I know it was against the Texans, but I really do think Tua is a solid quarterback. But Jacoby Brissett will be at home, and the Ravens are just a crazy team. Lamar Jackson's carrying them. He's a under the radar MVP front runner. I love Lamar Jackson. So the question for me, Shane, before we give our picks is, what are your thoughts on how Lamar Jackson's been playing this year? Do you think he's shutting up the haters, or?
I think he's if you I know you're big on statistics, so you may even know this. His numbers this year are mirroring what he did his MVP year, but he's just being overlooked just because he downgraded last year, if you want to call that, which I personally don't think he did. I think he's still elite. I think he's obviously a top 10 quarterback, maybe top 5, depending if he'd been playing the rest of the year how he has been. But he's a freak athlete. That's all you can say. He's a freak.
The good thing about Lamar is that he's staying in the pocket more as a passer, which is excellent because if his he does have an injury to his legs, it seems like he will still be a good quarterback because I've noticed that a lot while watching him. His pocket presence is a lot better than it was. So we're talking about Lamar Jackson a lot, and I'm going with the Ravens in this game. I think it'll be a little bit of a blowout. I got the Ravens winning 31-17. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, I have the Ravens as well. I have them winning 26-15.
Right on. So lead us into our next game, Shane, which is a battle of a team that's unexpectedly in the playoff contention in the NFC.
So we got the Falcons, who are 4-4, versus the Cowboys, who are 6-2. Cowboys are 9-point favorites. The Falcons are playing a lot better than people thought they were, and obviously that's because of Matt Ryan. He's a great quarterback, and then as well as their rookie tight end Kyle Pitts. They're just doing great meshing together. Cowboys got destroyed last week, so it'll be interesting how they play this week versus the Falcons and their defense. And it's also going to be interesting how Dak plays with his injured leg. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, Dak has a calf injury. I think he pulled something in his calf. I'm not really too sure, but the point is he has some type of calf issue. That's why he didn't play against the Vikings a couple weeks ago. And like you said, they got embarrassed. I think this is going to be a lot closer than people give them credit to because the Falcons are a very high-scoring team, even without Calvin Ridley. I love Kyle Pitts. Cordell Patterson, people aren't talking about him, the running back, receiver, returner, hybrid guy. He has been having a career year for the Atlanta Falcons. But as long as Matt Ryan and Kyle Pitts are under center, it almost seems like they don't really need Calvin Ridley. And I feel like this is going to be a high-scoring shootout game. As we've talked about the Cowboys offense before and how good it is and how Shane mentioned how good Matt Ryan and Pitts are meshing. So this will be a shootout, and I love shootouts. Fun to watch,
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it's going to be a shootout, but I think in the end, the right defense is going to make the stop to solidify the game. But, we'll see what happens.
I agree. I think I got a high-scoring game. Like I said, I got the Cowboys winning 31-28. But don't sleep on the Falcons because right now they are the 7th seed in the NFC playoff race. So they're potentially making a playoff push.
They are. And then obviously with that division, Tampa Bay is gonna run away with it more than likely. The Saints, who are above the Falcons by a game, I believe, they don't have most of their quarterbacks, so we'll see how they do. But I also have the Cowboys in a little less scoring game, 30-21 Cowboys.
So the next game we got is an AFC South battle against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 2-6, and the Indianapolis Colts, who are 4-5, and the Colts are 10.5-point favorites in this game. Now the Jaguars pulled off a crazy upset by beating the Bills 9-6, while Trevor Lawrence missed most of that game with a dislocated finger, I think, some type of finger issue, I believe. He came back, so I think he's questionable to play this game. But regardless, they pulled off a crazy upset. And on the other side, Jonathan Taylor I think we mentioned this last week, but with Derrick Henry being out, Jonathan Taylor, in my opinion, is unprecedented, the best back in the league right now. He's playing great. The Colts offensive line is great. Carson Wentz, I know people were giving him crap for being a terrible quarterback, is really having a great season. And I really like what Carson Wentz is doing. And the Colts are the best example in the NFL right now of a team that is better than their record shows. Because the Colts could easily be like the Cowboys or Ravens at 6-2, but they had a slow start. Now they're 4-5. So I think the Colts are a very, very underrated team. What about you, Shane? What are your thoughts on the Colts?
Yeah, I think they're underrated. I personally don't think Jonathan Taylor's the best running back, but he is playing insane right now. He's definitely having a upgrade year. I saw even though it was against the Jets, I saw the Jets game, and I believe he had like 2 or 3 touchdowns in that game. He went off. I think he had like 130 yards, maybe. Not quite sure. But yeah, Colts are playing way better than their record. I believe they started out 0-3, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. Yeah, because they had a slow start.
I think they're 4-2 in their last 6 games. So, but yeah. I think the last week Jaguars they made a statement game. Obviously they're more than likely not going to make the playoffs, but I think they can be better than what they've been showing. So what they did against the Bills had me a little bit of faith for them in the future.
And what really showed out was Josh Allen, the pass rusher from Kentucky. Yep. I know that was like a joke that Josh Allen sacked Josh Allen, but like in all seriousness, he really did have a great game. And he kind of had a great rookie year. He kind of regressed a little bit last year, but now he seems like he's back to form. He had I think he became the first guy in the history to he forced like 3 turnovers or something crazy. Like he got a pick, a sack, a tackle for a loss, and a strip sack or something like that. Like he went off last week, and he was the main reason why the Jaguars won the game. Was Josh Allen. So I really like him, but I don't think he'll be enough against the Colts because the Colts offensive line is one of the best in the leagues. And I got the Colts win this game 27-13 behind the duo of Jonathan Taylor and Carson Wentz. What about you, Shane?
I have the Colts winning 24-17. I think Jaguars defense is getting better. So I think they'll put up a little bit of a fight, but I don't think they can stop Jonathan Taylor. They may be able to slow Carson Wentz down a little bit, but like you said, the Colts line is, especially their when they rush, their rushing line is one of the best in the league. So I got the Colts 24-17.
Leading into our next game, Shane. This is one of the best games we have this week.
Yeah, so we got the Browns, who are 5-4, versus the Patriots, who are also 5-4, and I believe the Patriots are 2.5-point favorites. And so the Browns, obviously, you know the news, they don't have OBJ. They're coming into this week. This is going to be a very, very interesting game. Mac Jones, he's been playing very well for the Patriots. I believe I think the Patriots will make the playoffs, in my opinion, but it's still early. But they're playing great. They're playing much better than their record's been showing.
Yeah, I agree. This is going to be a very like old school, old fashioned run game type game. They're both playoff hopefuls. The Patriots are potentially threatening the Bills for the AFC East title, which is crazy because they're only a half a game behind the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
And the question, well, before I get into the question, Mac Jones is looking like a young Tom Brady. Now, let me wait. Before people start getting mad, I'm not saying Mac Jones will be like Tom Brady. I'm saying he's playing like, if you watch Tom Brady when he was a rookie, when he first started out, he played just like Mac Jones is playing just like him, making the checkdowns, relying on the run game, being a game manager. So I'm not saying that Mac Jones is going to be like Tom Brady so like I said, before people crucify me in the comments or people say, oh, Will's a casual football fan, like before Jimmy John 426 on his mom's laptop says that. All right. I'm saying that Mac Jones is playing like Tom Brady. All right. He's playing like a game manager, for making the safe throws. He's not making anything crazy. He's not really necessarily winning the Patriots games. What's winning them games is their run game and their defense. So, but I like Mac Jones. Let me reiterate that. I like Mac Jones, right? He's just developing right now. He's a rookie quarterback,
Yeah, he's playing well. I also believe Chubb is out with COVID. Am I correct? I just saw that earlier.
Yeah, I don't think he's questionable to play because he is vaccinated. So it's not like an Aaron Rodgers situation where he's out for 10 days. So Nick Chubb is vaccinated. So he just needs back-to-back negative tests to come back. So I'm not really too sure. He is questionable to play, but regardless, if Chubb is out, this will be a great game to watch if you like the run game, as we saw with Desean Jackson, who was he balled out that Thursday night game for the Browns.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. He'll be the main back, and potentially Kareem Hunt is questionable to play. He might come back from his ankle injury. So even if Chubb doesn't play, they will still have Dearness Johnson and maybe Kareem Hunt. So it'll be a fun game to watch.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think if Nick Chubb does play, I think that makes a big difference. As you know, I've always been very high on Chubb. He's fast, he's big, he's explosive. He runs with anger. He reminds me of a level below how Marshawn Lynch was when he went to Seattle, but he's not as dominant quite yet. I think if he's out for this game, I think Patriots are gonna have an easier time containing Baker Mayfield in that passing offense.
I agree. What's your prediction to win this game, Shane, between the Browns and the Patriots?
I have the Patriots winning in a very close game. Like you said, it's going to be old-fashioned football, so I'm not expecting a lot of points. I have the Patriots winning 17-14.
I think it'll be a low-scoring game, but I disagree that the Patriots will win. I think the Browns are going to win and a little bit slightly higher scoring, 20-17. But regardless, this will be a very good game to watch. Good game. And next up, we got an AFC East battle between the Buffalo Bills, who were 5-3, and the New York Jets, who are 2-6. And the Jets are 12-point underdogs. Now the Bills are looking to bounce back after being embarrassed by the Jags last week. Josh Allen played probably his worst game he has in 2 years. Had like 2 picks, a fumble loss. He just played terrible. But luckily, they're playing the Jets, and this is one of the few teams to easily bounce back against. I would say they're a bottom 3 team. Now, Mike White is playing this game. He had that great game against who they played? The Bengals. So the question here is Mike White potentially the starter for the rest of the season? Zach Wilson wasn't really playing really too well. He only won 1 game, and he had a lot of picks thrown. So do you think there's a shot that the Jets back up Mike White, dethrone Zach Wilson as the starter quarterback for the Jets, or do you think that's not a possibility?
I think that's a very high possibility. I think that's the most probable possibility. A lot of stuff happens in the NFL. Coaches look at a lot of different things. Mike White, obviously, nobody knows who he is because he's been a backup. But when you go out there and you dethrone one of the best teams in the AFC so far this year, you kind of can't ignore that. And I believe he's only thrown. I believe he's only thrown like 1 pick, and he's played in 3 games, I believe.
Last week he left early though against the Colts. He had a injury.
Yeah. Either way, I think Zach Wilson had like 4 or 5 picks maybe in his first 3 games. I don't think Zach's careful with the ball. I think he's too antsy with the ball. Mike White, I've seen highlights of him over those 3 games. He looks calm. He looks smart. Like you said, with Mac Jones, he's being a game manager. He's doing what he has to do in order to keep the ball like on the Jets' hands and make sure they go down the field.
Mm-hmm. Now, my score for this game, although I do think Mike White potentially has a chance to be the starting quarterback for the Jets, I don't think they will beat the Bills. I think the Bills are hungry. They got embarrassed last week. They definitely should not have lost to the Jaguars. But whatever, that happens to good teams. You can't win them all. Any given Sunday, that's what they say. I think the Bills will win this game 31-13. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, I have a very similar score. I think the Bills. I don't think the Jets can stop their passing attack if Josh Allen's on point this week. I have the Bills winning 30-10.
Lead us into our next game, which is a very boring game, I guess, with the 0-8 Detroit Lions.
So I actually think this is going to be a very interesting game, but only for half of it. We have the 0-8 Lions versus the 5-3 Steelers, and the Steelers are 8-point favorites. Now the Steelers, even though their record shows they're 5-3, I personally think they've been playing a little bit better than they have obviously so far this year. They barely beat Chicago last week, which it's Chicago. So, but the Lions, they're just terrible. I personally don't think they're going to win a game this year. They just suck. That's all you can say about the Lions.
Really?
Yeah. That's
shame. They got Jared Goff though. He went to the Super Bowl.
Sean McVay, my guy. That's all I got to say. Sean McVay.
But they got Dan Campbell, who will eat your kneecaps.
We'll see about that one, Will.
he told his guys to bite them kneecaps.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm not a big fan of Pittsburgh Steelers, and all the Pittsburgh Steelers fans. I feel like the Steelers fans only I don't know, if Big Ben wasn't on the team, they wouldn't even know what the hell a football was. You know what I'm saying? Because they just waved that yellow piss. They waved the yellow piss rag around, and they think that's funny. You know what I'm saying? The terrible towels, that's a joke. Organization's a joke. All right, the fans are a joke. All right, I'm asking for all the smoke from you Steelers fans that think you guys are going to make a playoff run when you got a fucking tree at quarterback. All right, part of my language.
Now,
all right.
Now, hold on. Don't get my words twisted. I don't think they'll go far into the playoffs at all. I think if they make it, they'll make it at a 7th seed at best if certain things happen. But they've just been playing better. How I saw the first 3 games compared to the last 3, they've been playing better. But I still believe that they still don't have a great.
If you look at every single AFC playoff team, any AFC team that is above 500, you cannot tell me if you're a Steelers fan. Now, Steelers fans would, because Steelers fans have the IQ of like the car that just passed by my street. They would say that the Steelers are better than the LA Chargers, and I would say cap. The Steelers are not better than the Chargers. That's what I'm saying. They have no home. I would say that the Steelers are not better than the Broncos, and they beat the Broncos, and I think the Broncos should have won that game. But it's just, I don't know. It's every year the Steelers just.
It's their offense. They just can't. They can't get anything going. They have to. Their defense is good. I'm not saying their whole team is trash like the Lions.
I agree.
But
I agree.
There's only so much your defense can do.
And let me also reiterate this, that like I'm a fan. I said this last week. Okay, so for anyone that's again get those keyboard warriors out. Let me say, if you watched my last week's episode, I specifically said, Sheen, I like Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuth, the two rookies. Right? Mm-hmm. They are carrying this team on offense. I think they're great players. I love Najee Harris. I think Pat Freiermuth is a very underrated young tight end. Obviously, he's a rookie. He's been overshadowed by Kyle Pitts when you think of rookie tight ends. And I think those two are a bright future for the Steelers. But they won't go far when Big Ben's their quarterback. I'm sorry. They need a quarterback. You know, it's just like with the Giants and Eli Manning, you know?
Yeah, and see, that I was going to bring that up as well. I believe the Steelers are in that same boat as where the Giants were when they had Saquon and Eli was on his way out. Except this time, I think Big Ben, he has maybe a year more than Eli did. And the difference here is the defense. Giants didn't have that defense at that time. Obviously, you knew that as a Giants fan. They got a great defense. They have a playoff type defense. Their offense is just so bad just because Big Ben's he's hitting his downfall. He's hitting the beginning of the end for Big Ben.
Yep. And also, before I give our picks, let me just say I had a Steelers fan once tell me, all right, this is a true story. This is a true story. I'm not making this up.
I know what you're about to say. I can't confirm this. I was in the room.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'll do two of them then. All right, because I wasn't even going to mention that. I had I'll mention that one first. Our Steelers friend said that Darren Waller, Minkah Fitzpatrick, or Darren Waller. I started laughing. I was like, "What do you want? What do you want?" My other friend said that Joe Hayden can guard Tyreek Hill. I left the room. I'm like, there is no way you think Joe Hayden in 2021 can guard Tyreek Hill, who runs like a 4.26. There is no way.
Maybe 2016 Joe Hayden. Maybe, but
maybe.
That's a
Steelers
big maybe though.
Steelers fans think that Joe Hayden is prime Darrelle Revis and that Minkah Fitzpatrick's is prime Eric Reed or Eric Weddle from the Chargers. Yep, Minkah Fitzpatrick, boys, he can guard Darren Waller. He can guard him.
Sure, but yeah,
sure.
I do have the Steelers winning this game though. I do have them winning this game.
I do. Sadly, I got the Steelers winning 20-10. Hopefully, Najee Harris gets all the touchdowns, so Big Ben even looks worse, huh?
See, I think we got a new Steelers hater up in here, but I have Steelers winning 27-14.
I'm gonna get a bunch of dislikes from Steelers fans. I'm already telling you. All the Steelers fans watching this podcast already clicked off. They already wrote their nasty comment. They gave a dislike. They unsubscribed. Oops.
They're gonna find your Instagram, DM you, just everything.
And then, yeah. I go membership. I'm a menace to society, bro. I'm an MTS.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
Professional society. All right, let's get into our next game. We're getting off topic here. We got the New Orleans Saints, who are 5-3, and they're also better than the Pittsburgh Steelers, by the way, against the Tennessee Titans, who are 7-2, and the Titans are 3-point favorites. Now, the Titans are looking like a really scary team here because the Titans are the best team in the AFC by record. They're without their best player, and they have won 5 in a row. So the Titans are looking like real contenders here. But the Saints side of the equation is that the Saints defense is going to have to carry them to the playoffs. I know that they played somewhat all right against the Falcons. They still lost. But at the end of the day, like, I don't trust Trevor Siemian nor Taysom Hill leading my offense. So I think the Saints defense is really going to have to carry them to the playoffs. So, Shane, with how the Titans are playing now without Derrick Henry, they beat the Rams on the road in prime time. With how those Titans have been playing, do you think they make a chance at making the Super Bowl? With Derrick Henry, he'll be back by then. So do you think the Titans make the Super Bowl, or no? Is it too early to tell?
Derek, are you saying Derrick Henry will be in time for, like, say they get
he'll be
by playoffs? He'll be back by playoffs.
I
personally don't think they can go very far without Derrick Henry in the playoffs. But if Derrick Henry is there with them in the beginning of playoffs, I think they can make a far run into the playoffs.
Now, what about the Saints? Do you think they can make the playoffs after missing Jameis Winston, like since he's gone, or do you think their season's almost over?
No, I personally think the Falcons are going to take the second spot in the division eventually. Trevor Siemian or whatever, however you say his last name, he's not that great of a quarterback. Taysom Hill, he's not really a quarterback. He's more of a hybrid type player. And then Jameis Winston, he's not a big of an impact as someone like Derrick Henry would be. He's not that much of a dominant player. I do think they'll have a fight going into playoff time, but I think by like week 14, 15, I think that's where you're going to see where they won't make the playoffs.
This will be a fun game to watch, and we're going to see how much Alvin Kamara can carry the Saints offense, because he's really their only good offensive player left, with Jameis Winston being out and Michael Thomas also. He hasn't played all year, so he'll be out. So let's see if Alvin Kamara can do it. And Julio Jones and A.J. Brown, like the Titans' offense on paper is insane. And I really like the Titans. I think they are going to be an AFC favorite through the rest of the year. They keep on playing like this. I think the Titans will win their 6th game in a row. They're on a roll. And I think the Titans will win this game 24-14. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a slow start for the Titans. Saints, they always preach how good their defense is, how good their team is. I think they're going to come out motivated to beat one of the probably best team in the NFL. You can argue for that. But I still think by the end, Titans are going to win 21-17.
Lead us into our next game, Shane, which is with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yes, sir. So it will be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 6-2, versus the Washington Football Team, who are 2-6, and the Bucs are 9.5-point favorites. It's a rematch. It's crazy to think that this game is a rematch of last year's wild card game, where the Bucs barely beat the Washington Football Team. Please don't cancel me.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We just got canceled. It's over. It's over.
Hey, listen, I'm Native American, so I mean, I think I should just say that real quick.
That is a fact. Like, let me keep it a sack with all the viewers. Shane is a Native American. He comes from the Rider Rocket clan, right?
No, I'm Cherokee. But
word to me. Just like the Cherokee. I was gonna make a joke. But anyway, continue, Shane. Yeah, so Shane can't say that term because he is a Native American.
Anyways,
go ahead.
So the Washington defense they've let me down this year. I'm pretty sure I told you this in the beginning of the year. I had very high hopes for Washington's defense, and they've been playing terrible all year long. And the Buccaneers offense is on a whole nother level. You got Antonio Brown, you got Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette, who's been playing his best year since, I don't know, since his prime years with the Jaguars. They had the highest scoring offense. This offense constantly putting up 25 plus every single week. I personally, I'll probably tune into this game, but I expect the Buccaneers to do what they always do so far this year.
Pump. That's what they do. They pump points, man. I mean, they're unstoppable. Tom Brady's playing like prime Tom Brady.
He's the favorite for MVP so far, plus 350.
That's crazy.
Yep, 44 years
crazy.
Old. He's 44 years old, and he's beating all these 25-year-old quarterbacks. It's lightweight. But yeah.
And we still got the people on Twitter who think he sucks.
Yeah, they don't know anything. Trust me. I have the Buccaneers.
It's like those Steelers fans.
Got to stop with these Steeler comments here, Will.
What were you gonna say, Shane? What's your score for the game?
Buccaneers 30-13.
I got the football team winning.
Oh, that's so capped.
No, I'm messing. I got the Buccaneers winning 34-16. I think Tom Brady is just going to go off again and again and again.
We'll throw Leonard Fournette for a rushing touchdown right there just to make it fair for everybody, but we all know.
Oh yeah, right.
He'll
only throw 3 touchdowns instead of 4.
Yeah. Leads the league.
Next game. Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, he goes to Tampa Bay and he becomes an MVP. It's crazy. He's like a grandpa basically. So
pretty much
crazy. So next game we got the Carolina Panthers, who are 4-5 against the Arizona Cardinals at 8-1, and the Arizona Cardinals are 10.5-point favorites. So the Cardinals have the best record in the NFL, and they are looking to keep it rolling. They won last week, not because of Kyler Murray, not because of DeAndre Hopkins. I think they were both out because of James Conner, who had his best game since he's been in Arizona. So shout out to him. I think people really overlook him and what he can do. I think he's a really underrated running back. But the question here is kind of like what I mentioned earlier when I mentioned he got signed, is will Cam Newton play for the Carolina Panthers? I think he is the X factor in keeping this game close and potentially saving their season. So what do you think of Cam Newton being back with the Panthers? Do you think they make the playoffs with him? Do you think they become a lot better, or do you think they're going to continue going down? Or
I can tell you right now, they will not go down. And I say this because Cam Newton, he is on a mission. I saw some tweets that he posted after his release, and media stuff. He feels I can already tell he feels disrespected by Belichick by having a rookie start over him, a former MVP of this league. He sorry about that. He brought the Panthers. He had the Panthers at 15-1, and into the Super Bowl. So, he's capable of saving a team. Like you said, depending if he starts this week will depend how close this game stays. I don't think he'll particularly save their season. I think it'll be a fight on the way to playoffs.
I think Cam Newton's good, man, and I think people sleep on him, which is annoying. But I guess we're gonna see how much Cam Newton can put can prove people wrong. Regardless if he doesn't start this week, I don't think he will because he has to learn the playbook, COVID stuff, pass his physical, all that stuff. So I think next week is the better chance of him playing. So look for that if you're a Panthers fan to see the debut of Cam Newton. But as we wait, I think the Cardinals will sneak by. I think the Panthers defense though is still really good too. We can't forget about that. We've been talking about that since the beginning of the season, Shane. How good their defense is.
Yeah,
and with Stephon Gilmore too.
Yeah, they added on Stephon Gilmore, and we watched the. I can't remember what game it was. I believe it was the week CMC got injured.
That's Houston.
Yeah, Houston. I told you I told you how they were running their defense, and I told you it works, and it was working. Unfortunately, it's the NFL, and offensive pick up on that. So, but yeah, their defense is just as good as their offense. Well, actually, they're better than their offense now that I think about it. But
I think the Cardinals are going to win this game, though. I think the debut of Cam Newton will have to wait 1 week. The return of Cam Newton. 27-21 Arizona. What about you, Shane?
Same here. Whether he plays, whether he does, whether he doesn't play, I think Cardinals are winning this game 24-17. And right before we get into our next game, I would just like to say that the Panthers front office, they're not smart. Like they released Cam Newton or they traded him, whatever they did, and then a year and a half later they signed him for the rest of the year because their quarterback that they replaced him with hasn't been playing well and then got injured. So it's just interesting to think why they signed Cam Newton. But on to our next game, we have the Vikings, who are 3-5 versus the Chargers, who are 5-3, and the Chargers are 3-point favorites in this game. A little side note before we really get into the game. Dalvin Cook got charged with I can't remember what it was. He got charged with assault, but I think they were dropped or he was proven guilty. I don't know what it was, but that's some other news.
I think it was his wife. His wife accused him of assault. Or no,
Yeah, I don't know.
wife
I don't know.
assaulted him.
Yeah, I don't
His
know
wife
where.
assaulted him.
I don't know where that stands. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna have an effect on him in this week's game, but Vikings are looking. They're looking better this year. Obviously, Dalvin Cook is an amazing running back. I put him top 5 easily. And that helps the Vikings in this game because Chargers are terrible against the run.
Yeah, I think that is why. Spoiler alert! I got the Vikings winning this game. I think not the Vikings. My fault. What was I saying? The Vikings. Jeez, oh my God, come on, Will. I think that's why I got them winning this game because their run defense is terrible. And I saw a video on like how bad their run defense is. They literally have people who are built like cornerbacks on the defensive line. So I was watching them like, footage against them and the Eagles guys were literally pushing them 5 yards, like literally halfway to the first down marker. Terrible. They're really, really bad at stopping the run. And I think that is the Chargers' Achilles heel. I think on their secondary is somewhat good with Chris Harris Jr., the rookie, Asante Samuel, and Derwin James. I love Derwin James. You know, he's finally healthy. He's playing pretty good this year. But I think that's the Chargers' Achilles heel is stopping the run. And who do they play? A good team with a good running back. And who are also the Vikings are the NFC equivalent of the Colts, in my opinion. I think the Vikings are a lot better than their record shows. They've lost all of their games by like less than 7 points, and like a couple of them were in overtime. They just lost in overtime to the Ravens, you know? So I think the Vikings are a lot better. I think this is where they finally get it on track and they win this game because of Dalvin Cook. And even if he doesn't play, I really like Alexander Madison too, their backup. I think he complements Dalvin Cook very well. Not to mention they got Kirk Cousins, Jefferson, Adam Thielen, you know, all of those guys.
Yeah.
But the Chargers, I don't know. They got a very good team on paper, too. This is going to be a really good game. You got Herbert, obviously, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler. This is going to be a fun game to watch, you know?
Yeah.
Fun.
Like you said, you have the Vikings winning. I have the Chargers winning. I think it's going to be a close game. Like you said, just Jefferson, Thielen, Vikings have a very underrated, powerful offense. I think it just gets overlooked just because of their quarterback. But I do have the Chargers winning 20-14. How about you, Will?
I got the Vikings winning 21-20, but regardless, this is definitely one of the best games and a very under-the-radar game this week. Now, next game we got is a very, what's the word to describe this? A very interesting game. Because we got the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 3-6, and the Broncos, who are 5-4, and the Broncos are 2.5-point favorites. Now, the Broncos started off their season 3-0. They have now since then been 2-4. They pulled off a big, big win against the Dallas Cowboys to keep them alive in the AFC West. And the AFC West is looking like the toughest division in football right now. You got 2 teams who are 5-3 and 2 teams who are 5-4. So it's looking like a tough division. The Eagles, on the other hand, almost upset the Chargers because of their run attack, as we just kind of briefly mentioned how bad the Chargers' run defense is. But in my opinion, the main storyline for this game is Devontae Smith versus Patrick Surtain. 2 rookies, 2 former teammates, wide receiver Smith, cornerback Surtain, both drafted in the first round. Patrick Surtain has been considered the best cornerback prospect in a while. And Devontae Smith is the first Heisman Trophy winner receiver since like 1992, since Desmond Howard. And he went to Michigan, so go blue. Had to throw that in there.
That's trash.
Oh, really? Okay, we're better than Georgia. Shane, we won't get into this, man. We won't get into this. Let me just say, Georgia fans are just like Steelers fans. They're all trash.
Okay. Let's focus on the topic here, Will.
Yeah, listen, we're talking about the Broncos, Shane, not the Bulldogs, all right? Come on now. But my question for you, Shane, is surprisingly, the Broncos are 3-0 against the NFC East. And will they make it 4-0? Do you think the Broncos complete the NFC East sweep, or do you think the Eagles win this game?
I think listen, Devontae Smith's been playing really, really well.
He had a good
I
game
think
last week.
Yeah. I think the Eagles, I think they're coming together. Like I said, there's a lot of good teams this year, and by the end of the year, you're gonna realize how many couple games could go different ways and all that. But I don't have the Broncos winning this game. I have it a very close game. I personally think this is they come down right to the final few drives. I have the Eagles winning 17-14.
I disagree. I think the Broncos run game with Melvin and Javonte Williams too for the Broncos. He is another really good running back, and Melvin Gordon too. We don't talk about them. They make a good backfield duo of the two of them, Gordon and I just said his name. Williams. Gordon and Williams make a good duo. And I like Teddy Bridgewater. I think people kind of dog on him, but I think Teddy Bridgewater is a pretty solid quarterback. I got the Broncos winning this game 20-16. So
All
Shane,
right.
lead us into our next game. This is going to be a good one. I think this is going to be a good one.
This is a very underrated game. We have the Seahawks who are 3-5 versus the Packers who are 7-2, and the Seahawks are 3-point underdogs, I believe. So is Aaron Rodgers? I believe Aaron Rodgers is confirmed for this game. So we'll have
Actually, no. We won't know until Saturday.
Oh, okay. So,
but it's confirmed. It's most likely that he will play. Most likely, but he has to get tested on Saturday, and if he comes back negative, then he can play. But if he tests positive, then he'll miss this game too.
Well, that can change a lot of stuff. But so if that is the case, if he does test negative, he will be able to come back and play, which means both top QBs will be returning. Russell Wilson had he had like a tendon injury in his finger or something. Kept him out a couple weeks, but we have Russell Wilson versus Aaron Rodgers, and I believe the last time they faced off was a couple years ago. They're both very exciting players to watch, and I think the Seahawks, they're a very underrated team. It's just their defense isn't good. And then the Packers, you saw last week how they played without Aaron Rodgers. They lost to the Chiefs, so they'll be looking to bounce back.
I think Jordan Love didn't really play that bad though.
No, neither did I. I watched the beginning of that game. The beginning of the game, he made a couple questionable throws that he could have choose a different wide receiver to make it a safer choice, but I don't think he played that bad.
And this is a little bit of a fun fact. The last time the Seattle Seahawks won at Lambeau Field was 1999. So they have not won this century in Lambeau Field, which is kind of crazy. But I think Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, potentially both of them coming back, is going to be a big. It's the difference of watching Geno Smith versus Jordan Love or Aaron Rodgers versus Russell Wilson. You know what I'm saying? But two great offenses. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, potentially OBJ if he signs with the Seahawks. We never know. Maybe. And on the Packers, Devontae Adams and also OBJ. These are two teams.
Yeah, big rumors with OBJ and the Packers, and even with the Seahawks.
Yeah, so maybe OBJ will be on one of these two teams, which is kind of crazy to think now they're playing each other. Aaron Jones, obviously. But I think the key thing is what defense will come on top, because we talk about these teams as offense, but their defense is kind of like both of these teams' Achilles heel. I know the defense kind of played well last week. They held the Chiefs only to 13 points, but I think it's what team will get that one defensive stop, and I think it's going to be the Packers who kind of win that game because of their defense. If Aaron Rodgers plays, I get the Packers winning this game 31-21. What about you, Shane?
I think it's going to be a close game. Like you said, if Aaron Rodgers tests negative, I think my actual score for this game will more likely happen. But I believe Aaron Rodgers is going to go down the field, have a game-winning drive. Hopefully they make the field goal. I have the Packers winning 27-24.
We got two more games to go, and we're going to wrap up this episode with our games of the week and go over the picks record. But first, we got the Sunday night game and the AFC West battle, and this is, spoiler alert, my game of the week. We got the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 5-4, versus the Las Vegas Raiders, who are 5-3, and the Kansas City Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites here. So the crazy that I'm saying is that Week 10, the AFC West is wide open. You know, the Raiders and the Chargers are tied for first, and then the Chiefs and the Broncos are tied for third. And they're all within a half a game of each other. So, like I said, the AFC West is wide open. Now, the good thing is that the Chiefs defense did show up last week. I mean, I know they're playing Jordan Love, but still, holding your team to 7 points is nothing to laugh about. That's still pretty good, you know. So my question for you, Shane, is who do you think is going to pull out of the AFC West? Out of not just these two teams, like the whole AFC West. You think it's the Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, or Chiefs?
I still think it's the Chiefs, especially there's rumors that OBJ will go to the Chiefs. I think I know they've been struggling offensively. Obviously, you know how I feel about their defense. Think if they do get OBJ, it'll free up Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. It'll help their running game. I think eventually the Chiefs do get going and they get on a hot streak, and you know how they look when they're playing well. So I do think the Chiefs will pull out on top. So
now my thing is like I think the Raiders offense is gonna just annihilate the Chiefs defense, and I think one of the main factors is Desean Jackson. Now this will be his Raider debut. And I think he'll make an impact because of how bad the Chiefs' defense is. And I think he's a big, deep threat, and I think he will stretch the field. We got Darren Waller, too, the Raiders do, so he's also a great player. So do you think Desean Jackson will really have an impact on this game, or do you think he'll be irrelevant? Or
I don't think he'll be irrelevant. I think he'll make an impact in the deep ball game, but you never know. I think the Chiefs are better against the deep ball pass with Tyrann Mathieu back there at safety than they are against like medium passes or even against the run. They're terrible against the run, which is crazy because that was their best area on their terrible defenses in the past. But I have the Chiefs winning this game. I think their defense is going to step up again because I think they're sick of being doubted. They believe they're a Super Bowl team. I have the Chiefs winning this game 30-21.
Oh, I disagree. I think the Las Vegas Raiders will pull this game out, and I think it's because of their offense and the Chiefs' terrible defense. And the Raiders' defense has also been really good this year. I know most people really don't talk about the Raiders' defense, but they really have been playing really good because of Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue, the two pass rushers. So I really think the Raiders' defense is very underrated. And because of that, I think that gives the Raiders the slight edge. I think the Raiders will win this game 31-28.
Side note before we get into our next game, Will does do a private podcast with one of his other friends on specifically the Raiders and their offense and everything. So he's not wrong. The Raiders do have a very underrated defense this year. So,
and don't worry, I'll plug my other podcast at the end of this podcast. Don't you guys worry.
So we have our Monday night game. It will be the Rams, who are 7-2, versus the 49ers, who are 3-5, and the Rams are 4-point favorites. Lately the 49ers, they've had their number against the Rams the last couple of years. The Rams haven't really been as well as they have been this year, obviously. The Rams lost last week to the Titans, which is, in my opinion, it was crazy. So yeah, they're hoping for a bounce back. Matthew Stafford, he's been playing really well this year. He's shown what he can do when he's not in a toxic team like the Detroit Lions. And 49ers, in my opinion, I don't think 49ers are very good. They need something to help them, but this will be a very interesting game.
Yeah, about the Rams. So Matthew Stafford, I think he's the MVP favorite in my opinion. I think he had a bad game last week, but I think the only problem with the Rams is they look like the best team in the world on paper, but they got one problem, and that's the offensive line. I think the offensive line is not terrible, but like it's average, and it's almost like it's like bipolar. It's kind of like the Chiefs defense. You know what I'm saying? It's very inconsistent. Like some days it's good, some days it's bad. And last week against the Titans, it was bad. So I feel like if the Rams want to be the NFC favorites, who I think they personally are, I think that they need to make sure their offensive line doesn't play great, but just plays good every week. You know. Like you said, the Niners have had their number recently. I think George Kittle coming back, he played pretty good over the Cardinals last week. Deebo Samuel has been having a hell of a year, a really underrated guy. And I don't really know what's going on with the 49ers. You know, they seem like they have most of the pieces from the Super Bowl winning team. They're 3-5. You know, is it Shanahan's fault? Is it Jimmy Garoppolo's fault?
I personally think they need better coaching, and I personally think Garoppolo doesn't fit their offense very well, because in that season that they made it to the Super Bowl, Garoppolo didn't throw the ball that much that year, especially in the playoffs and especially in that Super Bowl. I think he had like 13 passes and 120 yards in that Super Bowl, and they scored 20 something plus points. So I don't know. I think there needs to be a big change in San Fran.
I do like their run game, though. That's one thing I've noticed that no matter who their running back is, because of Kyle Shanahan, they always seem to have a good run game, and I like Elijah Mitchell a lot. And they're looking like a good team. The run game is, and you know, they are pretty injured too. But I feel like the injury bug is only an excuse for so long.
Yeah.
So regardless, I think the Rams are going to win this game in a somewhat low-scoring game. I think the Rams are going to win this game 21-13. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, I have a similar score like that. I also have the Rams winning. I have them winning 24-14.
All right, guys, so we're going to get into our games of the week real quick, get into our picks record, and just the final concluding statements before we head out. So my game of the week is going to be the AFC West Sunday night primetime game, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Las Vegas Raiders, because, like I said, the AFC West is wide open. It'll be a big game for not only just the AFC West race, but the AFC playoff race too. Both of these teams are still in prime position. So that is my game of the week on Sunday night on NBC, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Las Vegas Raiders. What about you, Shane?
I have the New Orleans Saints versus the Tennessee Titans as my game of the week. Reasoning for that is this is a big game for a lot of reasons. It's a very underrated big game. Saints are a game behind the Buccaneers, or I believe they're a game behind the Buccaneers. In their division. Titans, this is another test to see how they can do without Derrick Henry. They passed last week against a very good Rams team, like you said earlier. This is just to me, this is a very big game. This is one of the biggest games in the year, in my opinion. Just because it has so much, it can change the playoff perspective so much. This game. Down later in the road when we get closer to playoffs.
So lastly, we're going to get to our picks record. Me and Shane are tied still. We are both 13-16. So hopefully after this week, we will have someone take the lead. Hopefully it's me. You never know, though. Yeah. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode of the Gridiron Talk podcast. Week 10, episode 3 of season 2. Also, shout out to my boy Joey for doing the thumbnail for us again. We got James Conner. Oh, wait. We got breaking news, Shane. They literally just got announced. Odell Beckham Jr. signs with the LA Rams.
That is, he more than likely won't be cleared for this week, will he?
That's gotta be cap, bro. What is that? This is breaking news you're hearing on the Gridiron Talk podcast. Your number one source for NFL news, trades, and everything. Odell Beckham Jr. headed to the Los Angeles Rams after being released by the Browns. And that's from Adam Schefter and Will Meyer. That is crazy.
That is a very surprising signing. The Rams weren't one of those teams. It was the Chiefs. It was the Packers. It was the Saints.
The Seahawks. Hey,
Seahawks, yeah.
OBJ wants to win. They're building a damn super team in LA, bro. They're
trying to beat my Bucks, bro.
Fair.
They're trying to beat my Bucks.
What did they mean? They beat Tom. It's like the Stone Cold. Like, you know how Stone Cold's like, what? It's like they got Von Miller. What? Aaron Donald. What? Jalen Ramsey. What? Odell Beckham Jr. What? My God. hell is this? This is
That's
aimbot.
crazy.
That's what we say.
That's crazy. What a surprise! What a surprise this week.
That's crazy. So look at that. I mean, oh, and also I guess OBJ about signing with a team after this Sunday was cap. So, but regardless, that is that LBJ breaking news signs with the LA Rams, and that is a crazy offer. That's a crazy receiving core. OBJ, Robert Woods, and Cooper Kupp. Jesus Christ, that is
Cooper
a crazy
very
offensive.
Very underrated.
Yes, sir, he is. So that's going to conclude.
Before we go, real quick, I know Will's mentioned his other podcast, and his Instagram. If you'd like to follow me, I have a fitness page, football page, and I have my regular page. It's breaking news to you too, Will. It is on the verge of getting verified, which is crazy. Working on getting my main account verified. It'll take a couple weeks, but yeah, you can go ahead and follow at Big Man Shane. You can also follow Will's Instagram account. I don't know his handle by heart, so if he wants to give it out, he can. But
2 underscores. It's literally it. Will Meyer 2 underscores. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. But yeah, so the thumbnail, shout out for my boy Joey, who I do my Raiders podcast with, who I'll just talk about that real briefly again. So for the thumbnail, we got James Conner, Jonathan Taylor, and Lamar Action Jackson. So a big shout out to him for doing that for me and Shane every single week. And then my Raiders podcast. Yes. So as I'll be plugging this every week. Sorry, I'm doing it. So every single Wednesday and Friday, me and my boy Joey Christmas, the one I did the podcast with last year, the one who does the thumbnails for this podcast. Every week we do a podcast on the Las Vegas Raiders. We talk about everything about under the sun about the Raiders. If you can think about it on the Raiders, we talk about it. So yesterday we talked about the Raiders game against the Giants, what they did wrong, how to improve. We talked about Desean Jackson. We talked about it all. And tomorrow we will be going over the Chiefs game and all of that jazz about how they can beat the Chiefs, what to look out for, all that stuff. So if you are a Las Vegas Raiders fan, you want to learn more about the Raiders, or you just want to support me, I'll put that link in my bio in the description below. It's on ultimatesportsnetwork.com, Raider Nation today. But that is going to conclude this episode of the Gridiron Talk Podcast, Week 10, Episode 3 of Season 2 of the Gridiron Talk Podcast. Make sure you stay tuned for next week, as me and Shane will be talking about the Week 11 of the NFL season and go over more news, signings, whatever. Anything we will go over next week. So, Shane, do you have anything else to say before we wrap up the episode?
No, just thank you for tuning in. I saw that we had a lot more viewers like last week, which is really good. Yeah, thanks for listening to us. Keep checking in. I know our podcast is a little longer than most podcasts usually are, but we like to cover everything and give the fans a lot to think about. So thanks for liking and subscribing to Will, and also just listening to the podcast in general.
Yep, and he hit the nail on the head. If you guys like what you're seeing, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with all your friends and family. And take care. We'll be back next Thursday. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a good week, guys.